Hello everyone and welcome to the 6th episode in our ExpressJS tutorial series. Now I'm going to start off by again apologizing for my slightly inconsistent upload schedule. I'm working on it, currently have quite a bit of classwork and schoolwork going on, so of course whenever I can get that done, then I switch to recordings, usually like right now it's 10:09 p.m. But I try to record as much as possible, so hopefully I can get a grip on my recording schedule again and get back on track. But for this video, we are going to be focusing on parsing request data. Now, basically up until now, we have been mostly dealing with how to actually set up our API, how to basically have different endpoints and return different kinds of data, and just all of the terminology and concepts around web APIs. But we actually haven't really covered how the user can give stuff to the API. Like, say I wanted to search for a book, well, our API needs to know what the title of the book or what the criteria are for finding the book, because there's millions of books. So what, am I looking for? You need like a title or a keyword or something. And then basically this video is about how do we actually get the data from the user. And we'll be doing both. We'll be getting the data, and then we'll be figuring out how to use our REST or how to use our REST client thing to send data to our API. So actually, I forgot to write it in, but we're going to go ahead and start off with a quick recap of the previous episode. In the previous video, we just kind of went over different endpoints. So as you can see, we have a get endpoint here that's a /hello, and all it does is returns our index.html. There's the root endpoint here, just a slash, and it just returns the data. And then we have the /API/post endpoint, which is a post request. Notice there's the difference here. Post generally means you're updating some sort of data. For our purposes, we're only using get and post in this tutorial series, but there are, of course, there's put, patch, and delete as well. And then I think there's another one, but I forgot. But we are taking that and updating our data with this endpoint. So basically, up until now, notice even in this post request, we are not taking anything from the user. We are manually updating. But what if we could change our API so that the user can actually give us the new title? Because notice here, we're updating the book title to New Atomic Habits, but what if we could have the user change that? So that's actually what we're going to implement. So to start off, we want to go over the components of a request. And whoops, did not mean to do that. But components of request, which show up right here. Okay, so there are many different kinds of things that you can pass basically to an API. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by showing a query. So basically, whenever you go to a website or an endpoint here on your browser, like let's say localhost:3000, you can actually give the API some data just in this browser right here. And how do you do that? Well, you actually say wherever you want to go, /API/ maybe update or whatever, and then you put a question mark. And by saying a question mark, what you're doing is you're starting to define some query parameters. So let's just say we wanted to give our API a new title. We could say title equals, and then we can say this is our new title. And if you actually write the code to handle this, basically the API will now be able to get this data right here, this title equals. And then let's just say we wanted to also change some other data like number or like a date. So date equals, and then right now it is March 8th, 2020 or 2021, my bad. So notice the way we actually define parameters here in the query itself, in the URL, is we put a question mark after the endpoint, then we type in the name, so title, the variable name title, and then we give it equals, and then we just put the thing that we wanted to equal. And then whenever we want to create another variable, we put an and then date equals, and then our date. So basically this is how we can pass as many, or at least as many variables that the URL bar will let us to an API. So let's go ahead and see this in action. I'm going to go ahead and start off by CDing into our into our project here, and I will type node index, or first I have to do an npm install. By doing that, it's going to refresh my packages. You most likely won't need to do this as long as you're not changing your folder, and then type node index.js to start up your server. and then it'll say example app listening localhost 3000. So notice again, I'm going to reload here, and then I'm going to go localhost 3000, and let's just use our post thing. So if you'll see in our code here, we have app.post/API/post, or actually we can't post in a browser, so we'll just do the get slash. So localhost colon 3000, that's just the slash. And notice by doing that, we get the basic JSON data here. We just get the title and the author. Now, we can actually modify this so that we can pass some data to this query. Let's just do a question mark, like I said, title or message. Let's name the variable message equals hi there. So I'll say message equals hi there. And again, I reload it and nothing changes because our code isn't equipped to handle the message. And basically that's what I'm about to do here. So by opening up this little link here, which should be linked in the description, it should be, I think I named it how to use rec article. So in this article here, it talks about basically writing Express code to work with the stuff that you can pass to Express APIs. So I search query right here. So to access URL query string, apply the rec.query object to search filter. So notice right here, what they're doing is they're console.log rec.query.keyword. And this rec thing is right here. It's been here all along. Rec stands for request, and that's basically any of the data that the user sends to the API will be passed in this rec object. And sorry, I'm going to take a quick sip. So yeah, any data that the URL or the user passes will be here in this rec. So let's go ahead and try to print this. So I'm going to go ahead and console.log rec.query, as it says here. Rec.query, and then they did .keyword, but that's because that's the specific name of their variable. But I'm going to just go ahead and rerun our code, Control C, and then rerun it. And then if I reload, notice now it actually prints message hi there. And what that's doing is it's realizing that that's what we passed it. And let's just do the and thing again. Hello or whatever equals true or something. I don't know. So just by doing that, notice now there's the whatever equals true or is true. So basically we can pass it the variables and we can now access them from our JavaScript. So just going to restore the hi there. And basically, notice we can, this is basically printed as a JavaScript object, and that's because we can do a rec.query.message. And if I go ahead and reload our app again with these changes, if I reload this page, it will print hi there because I reloaded twice. But basically, it's getting the variable message. And what we can actually do is we can send that with the data, and maybe we can even just send back the data. So rec.query.message. So again, before I was JSON stringifying the data, which is this book data here, but instead, how about if we just resend the message back to the user? So notice what happens. I'm going to go ahead and reload here. And as soon as I click reload here, it'll actually just say hi there in quotes. And no matter what I put, or whatever I put, whatever goes here, notice now it just returns whatever goes here. It's basically mirroring whatever I give to the API. And that is just the basic gist of how we can pass data and use it. And now we can use this data however we want in our server. So that's just one way. There's obviously also the body and the form data. Body requests basically are just another way to pass data to the API. And you'll notice here in this REST client and in every REST client, my bad, there is a way to send body data rather than query data. Now, the benefit of sending body data instead generally is, notice in this URL here, the only way we can send query data is by sending a HTTP request with this URL kind of thing. And URLs actually do have a character limit. I think it's 2000 or something like that. So if my message or if my variables are more than 2000 characters long, I cannot send it through a URL. I cannot just paste it into my web browser and it'll work, but it won't. So the way we can actually get around the character limit is by using a body request instead, which is just, it's a little bit more complicated because you can't send it through the browser. You have to use this REST client, or you can use any other client, or you can use another server. JavaScript can create body requests as well if you write the right code. But for now, we're going to be working in here to actually do that. And I'm not going to show that right now, but just know that that exists. And then there's also form data. Form data is basically, if you've ever been on a website here, just like this, where this is a contact form, and if I right-click, hit inspect, and then I look at this, if we dissect the HTML a little bit here, notice we have a actually, we might, oh yeah, here. Notice we have a form HTML element, and a form element, if you're not familiar, is basically an HTML element that helps us send form data, which is exactly what that means, like a form, like a survey of some kind. So inside the form, we have all these different fields, and basically when you parse form data, it's similar to all of this. It's just a way to send data to the website. It just works slightly differently. Like form data, you can easily upload files and things like that. Like whenever you go on a website and it says click here to upload your file, stuff like that, that's all form data generally. So those are the three main ways to send data to an API. Let's go ahead and check those off. And then parsing REST requests in Express, I kind of already went over that. I'm going to check that off here. Notice like you can come to this link here. So again, this is the query thing, which I just did a search for query. To access URL query string, blah, 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 use rec.query. But we can say body here. So the rec.body object allows you to access data in a string or JSON object. You generally use it to receive data through post and put requests, which is, again, whenever you want to update something, the data needs to be sent somehow. And through a post request, you would be sending it in body data instead of query parameters generally. So again, that's the same thing. You just say rec.body instead of rec.query. Notice rec.body.whatever. Well, here it was just rec.query.whatever. So it's basically the same concept overall. So I'm actually going to go ahead and skip this for this episode, just because this episode or this video is getting a bit long. So let's just go ahead and end off here. If you want to see more videos like this, I recommend you check out the playlist, which is linked in the description, where I'm currently, hopefully, going to be uploading every 2 days. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications whenever I post new videos. It really does help out my channel and helps me make more videos. If you, just thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.